Well, I would say Benavidez, but he's too, you know, that weight class is too high for him. So, you know, where he's at now is
great. The skill, the IQ, the movement of Terence Crawford would just be too much for Canelo Alvarez, and that's exactly what happened. I mean,
no, it does not take me too long.
And Terence Crawford,
no,
ain't doing that fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts. No, we ain't gonna vacate.
Turki AlalSheikh has once again set the boxing world ablaze, this time by calling for a monumental clash between Terence "Bud" Crawford and David Benavidez in 2026. At first glance, the matchup sounds like a fantasy fight, a pound-for-pound master against one of the sport's most feared rising powerhouses. But for boxing,
it is something amazing, never have in your life again. I hope to live.
Boxing fans, it's far more than fantasy. It's a collision of greatness that has already ignited passionate debate throughout the sport. Crawford, fresh off cementing himself as boxing's premier fighter, represents precision, timing, and adaptability at the highest level. Benavidez, known by his menacing nickname, the Mexican Monster, is a relentless, volume-punching powerhouse whose natural size and aggression make him one of the most dangerous fighters in the game. This isn't just a clash of big...
David, Crawford will fight you if he beats Canelo.
No, I wouldn't fight Crawford. I'm at one.
Big names. It's a classic battle of skill versus size, a theme as old as boxing itself. The most glaring storyline here is the dramatic size disparity. Benavidez currently fights at super middleweight, 168 pounds, but naturally walks around at 175 pounds.
Like I said, man, that's a big dude, you know what I mean? He ain't even at 168, you know, when you look at...
Right, not now, at 175, yeah.
He probably can't even make 168 no more. When you look at these fights...
Or more, even before officially moving to light heavyweight. In contrast, Crawford's rise has been one of steady, natural progression. Starting at lightweight, Bud conquered super lightweight, then rose to welterweight, where he became undisputed and earned recognition as boxing's pound-for-pound #1 fighter. So when Crawford recently assessed Benavidez, it wasn't out of fear, it was realism.
68, when we think about anybody at 168 outside of Canelo, the first name that comes to anybody's mind is David Benavidez. What about the potential for a fight like that?
Oh, like I said, man, that's a big dude, you know what I mean? He ain't even at 168, you know, when you look...
Right, not now, at 175, yeah.
He probably can't even make 168 no more. When you look at these fights, you know, especially coming up, you gotta be realistic. You gotta, you know, say, all right, you know, how big is this dude really is? Because David Benavidez, he can fight.
Crawford himself acknowledged what many insiders already know: Benavidez is no longer truly a 168-pound fighter. His frame has matured into that of a natural light heavyweight, making him a completely different kind of challenge. Bud gave Benavidez his respect, praising his talent and danger, but emphasized a harsh truth, forcing
his limits, and he think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in.
A naturally bigger man to boil back down to 168 just to make a fight happen wouldn't be an even playing field. Crawford's stance reflected both respect and cold calculation. This is how pound-for-pound kings think. Great fighters don't survive on emotion, they survive on strategy. Bud is known for analyzing every variable before committing to a fight. This is where the debate heats up. Many analysts argue that a Crawford-Benavidez showdown feels more like a promotional spectacle than a natural sporting rivalry. Benavidez has grown into a full-fledged light heavyweight. Forcing him to make 168 again could drain his energy and strip him of the size advantage that defines his style. On the other hand, if Crawford steps into the ring at light heavyweight to meet Benavidez, critics would argue that the fight was unfair from the start, with Bud giving up too much in size and strength. Respected trainer
some tough tasks in front of him that he want to conquer before even talking like that. I don't even think he want to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was the man at 68. He was at 68. I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud cared about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. Turkey trying to show he got a...
Trainer and analyst Greg Hackett echoed this perspective. He pointed out that before AlalSheikh stirred the pot, nobody was seriously talking about Crawford versus Benavidez. David's initial goals were focused on landing a mega fight with Canelo Alvarez at 168. His eventual move to 175 was natural as his body matured. Meanwhile, Crawford was busy carving through champions at 140, then later dismantling Errol Spence in one of the most dominant welterweight performances in modern history. Their paths didn't intersect naturally. They are being pushed together purely for the spectacle of a blockbuster event. Trainer Stephen "Breadman" Edwards broke down exactly what Crawford would face against a fighter like Benavidez. David brings height, reach, relentless pressure, and elite late-round stamina, all packed into a frame that comfortably sits at 175 pounds. For once, Crawford wouldn't have the reach or physical advantages he often enjoys. He would be the smaller man in every sense of the word.
60, there's no big names at 60. 68, maybe the Benavidez fight. That's a tough fight for Bud. I ain't gonna lie, that's a tough fight. Benavidez ain't no joke. Yeah, that's a tough fight. I don't know if Bud can overcome that. That's different. That's a lot. That's a lot to overcome. Height, reach, the speed of Benavidez coming downhill, the stamina. Because this a guy that does get stronger as the fight goes also. So some of the advantages he had over Canelo, he wouldn't have if Benavidez. I think it will be a question if Benavidez can make the weight.
Still, Crawford's history offers a warning to anyone counting him out. At 140 pounds, he was told he couldn't dominate. He became undisputed. At 147, many predicted he'd be outgunned by Errol Spence. Instead, he produced one of the most one-sided super fight victories in recent memory. Time and again, when the challenge seemed too great, Crawford solved the puzzle. The real question isn't whether Crawford can handle Benavidez's size. It's whether Benavidez can safely cut back down to 168 without depleting himself to the point of collapse. If David enters the ring drained, the fight risks being more spectacle than sport. Jose Benavidez Sr., David's father and trainer, shared a perspective that many fans agree with. Youth and size could heavily tip the scales in David's favor. By 2026, Crawford will be 38 years old, an age where
too big for Terence Crawford. I think Terence Crawford will be like 38 years old, you know? I mean, it will not be the same as Canelo, man. We know David comes in and throws a lot of punches and put the pressure. And no disrespect to Terence Crawford, he's the best pound for pound. He's in the books to do history. He did something that nobody could do. But at the end of the day, we're talking about
flexes and reaction time inevitably start to decline. Meanwhile, David will be entering his physical prime, armed with size, stamina, and relentless aggression. On paper, it looks like a mountain too steep to climb for Crawford. But greatness has never been about comfort zones. Crawford's legacy has been built on dismantling opponents, adjusting mid-fight, and delivering precise counters when it matters most. While age may bring decline, it also brings unmatched experience and patience. Bud's ring IQ remains among the sharpest in the sport, and that could be the key to neutralizing David's physicality. Benavidez's style, based on non-stop, pressure-heavy offense, would undoubtedly test Crawford's defense and composure. But aggressive fighters often leave openings, and Crawford has built his career punishing those exact mistakes. The intrigue lies here: can Benavidez overwhelm Bud with sheer physical dominance, or will Crawford turn David's aggression into a liability and pick him apart? Crawford's longtime trainer Brian "Bo" McIntyre.
Turkey dropped. Turkey talking about it. Turkey hinted at that. He was like Benavidez.
Yeah, he
Turkey.
Did.
So
Turkey just posted that this morning, wondering if Benavidez can make 168. Maybe he has plans or ideas of maybe trying to match up Benavidez and Terence Crawford.
No,
he ain't doing that fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts.
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts. You know, we just gonna sit where we need to sit for a minute, and then, just like I said, get back in the gym.
Address the speculation bluntly. His stance was clear. Team Crawford isn't chasing Benavidez. Their focus is on maintaining belts, staying sharp, and carefully selecting challenges that fit Bud's career trajectory. This, he stressed, isn't about fear. It's about discipline and protecting Crawford's legacy. Bud has never cherry-picked opponents. He has steadily climbed through weight divisions, taking on the best at every stage. As 2026 approaches, the debate will only intensify. If staged correctly, Crawford versus Benavidez could become one of boxing's defining fights. A true test of skill versus size, youth versus experience, and legacy versus raw power. Crawford has fought through multiple weight classes, taking on champions at their peak and emerging victorious every time. Benavidez, while dangerous and incredibly talented, has yet to truly prove himself as a dominant force at light heavyweight. Rushing this fight at a non-ideal weight benefits neither fighter and risks damaging both of their legacies. Crawford's trainer, Brian Bowe.
That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm. You know what I mean?
I understand that Turkey likes to make these big grand events, but there's a boxing aspect to this shit too. Like some stuff gotta make boxing sense. Bringing the dude down that's been comfortable at 75, bringing him back down to 68, and then having him fight a dude that just jumped 3 weight classes in 2 fights and started his career off at 35.
Right.
Like, no, bro. No.
Yeah, I don't want to see that fight. There's no point. There's no point.
McIntyre made it clear Bud will not compromise his strategic approach just for spectacle. Every move Crawford makes is carefully calculated, and that patience is exactly why he's the pound-for-pound #1 today. A fight with Benavidez will only happen if the timing and circumstances are right. This brings us back to the heart of the issue. Turki AlalSheikh may be able to create headlines, but boxing is built on weight classes for a reason. Benavidez has fully settled into the light heavyweight division. His body style and rhythm are now tailored to that weight. Meanwhile, Crawford has already achieved the improbable, rising from lightweight to dominate welterweight. His journey deserves challenges that make sporting sense, not manufactured matchups designed purely for hype. A fight between them at 168 would invite endless criticism no matter the outcome. If Crawford were to win, fans would say Benavidez was weight drained. If Benavidez were to win, people would claim Crawford was simply too small. A true mega fight must allow both men to compete at their natural best, and right now that simply isn't possible. Still, the intrigue surrounding this matchup is undeniable. If Crawford and Benavidez ever meet on fair terms, perhaps at a catchweight or after their careers naturally align, it could be one of the most daring and historic matchups in boxing history. Crawford, who began at lightweight and conquered 3 divisions, has built his legacy on skill, composure, and impeccable timing. Benavidez, the relentless Mexican monster, is a natural 175-pounder whose pressure and volume punching make him unlike anyone Crawford has faced before. This wouldn't just be a fight for belts, it would be a battle for history. Could the pound-for-pound king neutralize size, youth, and relentless aggression, or would Benavidez's physicality and hunger overwhelm even Crawford's brilliance? Fans are already buzzing with predictions. Some are betting on Bud's surgical counters and ring IQ, while others believe David's size will simply be too much. If this fight ever happens under fair conditions, it won't just be another big event, it will be a generational showdown. So who would you back, Crawford's precision or